Hello everyone, and welcome to another scrapbook layout process where I am going to create two 8.5 by 11 pages and make these into a double page spread. But as you can see, my photos don't relate to each other at all. So what I'm going to do is make a single page spread, and then I'm going to show how to construct the other page so things flow along smoothly with each other. A lot of the time people like doing double page layouts so that everything matches going all the way across, but I'm going to do each page with different printed pattern papers and hopefully get a nice cohesive look across the double page spread. Now, even though I'm working in 8.5 by 11, these principles will apply to any size layout that you're working on, whether it be 12 by 12, 6 by 8, 6 by 6, but for this one I am doing 8.5 by 11. So I've got my photos trimmed out here. These ones are very close to 3 by 3 inches, and I've printed them at home, and then I trim them down so that I've got a small white border around them. So this is just a photo. These photos here were printed as 6 by 4, but I've matted them onto a white cardstock to give a similar look. The other thing that is a little bit of a challenge with this is that these are two smaller photos and these are two larger photos. So the first thing I've done here is try to work out how I'm going to have things arranged. Now, ideally, I would like to have this so that there's a little corner element here, but no matter what I do with this, all this blue sky here, which I would normally prefer to be at the top of the layout, is going to have to go towards the bottom, and I'm going to overlap these so some of the rocks here are going to be covered. But any other way I try and do this, I think, is covering up too much of the photo detail that I want to show. These photos were actually taken in Inverloch because I did a little bit of a day trip from my Phillip Island holiday. I am working on getting that finished, and I'm using the same pattern papers from The World Is Yours. I bought the Cut Above kit, which is like a scrapbook kit, but I also purchased the actual paper pack as well with the stickers. So I'm thinking this stripe pattern is going to work really well with these photos. It's picking up some of the colours within the artwork here, and the stripes are going on an angle, even though the stripes here are going straight, but I do like how that looks. Now, I don't particularly love this pattern paper with these photos. It doesn't work for me at all, but I want to use it on this side. So the paper that I picked for this one has some leaf elements on here and also the blue wash, and that ties in with the blue on this page. So this will be close to my Heart Glacier colour, and so that instantly means that these two papers are going to work well together in a design format. Now, I could rotate this so that I have all the leaf element here coming out from the left edge of the paper, but then my wash is going this way, and when I put my photos on here, I have horizontal lines with the clouds, the horizon and the waves. So for me, it works a bit better if I have the wash of this pattern paper, even though it's quite subtle and my photos are quite large. I like the wash of this going across the pages. So now that I have made my paper selections, it's time to trim this piece down to 11 inches tall, and I'm not going to cover the whole entire background. I'm going to leave, I think, a bit of white space in between each of these, so you can see that sort of breaks up the patterns, defines that each of these layouts are different subjects and are in effect single pages, but will still give a cohesive look across the two pages. So I've trimmed these pieces down so that they are 6 inches and obviously 11.5 in height here. And I've also gone ahead and I've matted these photos onto a strip of glacier. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do, I've got this little offcut piece here from that same pack, but having two lots of lines on here is just a little bit too busy for me. I'm going to turn this over. I don't know if you can see, there's actually some texture here. I quite like that. And I think this will work quite well just to balance off the photos here. And I'm going to bring in my other photos and play around with placement for this as well. I'm not quite sure about this one. So I think what I'm going to do is take this off the mat because it's just looking a bit too bulky up against this, and I'm going to trim this photo down somewhat. I could print it smaller, but I've already printed them, so I'm going to work with what I've got. So I've trimmed this photo down and I'm finding that this is working a little bit better. It's a little bit more balanced. And I'm going to hold this photo over top here to see how much of this I can trim down to be the same so that I get the same sort of look here. I've adhered my photos down, and I love that this is offset and doesn't go all the way around this strip that's a photo mat. And I have left this down the bottom just to do a little bit of journaling. I don't have a lot to say about these photos, but I do love taking street art photos, so I wanted to include them in this album. And then I'm thinking I'm going to put some other elements coming out here. But for this album, I quite like having some simple pages showcasing the pattern paper on here. I don't have to necessarily fill everything up. And on this page, I think these two photos look much better, a little bit smaller, and it's more balanced up against this side here. Now, I do have some sticker elements that I think will work on this page. So I'm going to tuck this Explore here, and I think I'll have the leaves coming out, or maybe I'll put it up a little bit higher and have the leaves going. No, I like it this way, much better. So I'm just going to peel this off and just slide this under. I'm not going to press down on the adhesive yet because I want to use this sticker as well. I just need to poke out this little bit here just to give it a little bit more definition. And I think it's going to work best stuck over top of this and have this coming out as well. And it sort of carries on from the bottom section of the paper here. I wish I had a couple more of these stickers left from this kit. Let's see, how does it look going this way? Oh, I like that much better, framing around the photo. So I'm going to tuck the stem under here. I'm going to tuck these leaves under and then bend this around so that some of it comes up over the edge of the photo slightly. So I think that works a lot better than having it coming out like this. It sort of makes everything grouped and it's creating its own little cluster with part of the cluster being this photo. And then I can add my journaling here and here and decide what I'm going to put on this page. Now I do have some zip strips that I was thinking of using, and obviously I have already stuck my photos down, but to tie these pages in a little bit more, I thought about putting a zip strip. Let's see if I can tuck it all the way under. Here we go. I think the bicycles work quite well because it is street art here. And then on this side, I could replicate this. Might have to just lift this one up just a tad. And I can tuck some of this yacht zip strip along here. See how that looks. I don't actually like them matching together too much, so maybe what I'll do is just do a little partial piece peeking out from the edge of the photo, and then for this one what I might do is start here, and instead of putting my journaling on this section here, I'm going to put the zip strip across it, and then I will put a little element on here with my journaling on it. So I quite love how that looks. So I'm going to adhere that down, tuck that under. I know I could trim some of this zip strip off and just have a little piece here, but I'm at the stage where I'm nearly finished this album and I don't really need to save all the little pieces. I'm just going to come up a bit so that it's going to match where I'm going to put the bicycle. That's about right. And then hopefully I have that all nice and straight. Let me get my T-ruler out just to check. It's pretty good. I just need to put a little bit more adhesive on this edge here. And then I can trim that edge off. Now I'm going to apply this zip strip across this section here. And that's going to bring in another element that ties these two layouts together. So I can put my T-ruler down and have my heights of my pages the same, and then I'll be able to put my zip strip at the same height so it looks a bit cohesive going across this page. I think this just flows better to have them at the same height going across here. And I have some other zip strips from this pack, and I was wondering if I should bring those in as well and just have them coming off the edge. I like the grey tones. It picks up with the rock formation here. And the grey tones work quite well with this pattern paper, but I'm not quite sure if I love this just yet. Let me just have a little fiddle with this. I'm thinking of all of this as I go. Usually I have more of a plan in my head when I'm making a scrapbook process layout video, but I wanted to show you the thought process that I go through when it comes to adding extra elements on the page. And I think this is just a little bit too much for me, so I'm just going to put those aside. Now I've got a couple of other elements that I might put on here. I've got this sticker here and that works quite well, and I'm thinking I'm just going to place that up the top here as a little tab. I'm not sure about these bicycle elements. I know I've got bicycles on this page with the zip strip, but I'm not sure if they're going to work. So I'm just snipping this off. It actually looks quite cute tucked in there. Or I've got this one. It's just like a little one. But that's trying to look too matchy-matchy, I think. Because that's an outline and this is an outline, it might work better as just this piece. Or maybe I'll tuck that down here. It's a lot of peeling off and sticking back on when I try and work out how things will fit onto a layout. I could have it up there as well, but I think it's going to work better if I put it on this section with that one rather than the larger bicycle piece. And really all there is left to do for me on this page is to add in some journaling. And I'm also wondering if I want to add a little tab on this side just to bring in this craft piece over onto this page, or whether I tuck it in this section here. I think I like it up here. So I'm going to round the corners of this. I think that just gives a little bit of a softer edge to this one, even though I haven't rounded the corners anywhere else. And I'm going to tuck that in, I think, underneath that photo. And that brings the craft element across. I quite like how that looks. You can see I've added in some little embellishments here because of the florals. In here I brought out some wood grain flower die cuts and I put those on, and I went through my very old stash of sequins. I don't know if you have got any of these sorts of sequins. I just keep these all stacked together in my photo organizer box, and then I pull them out because I remembered I had some of these coral type ones and I knew that they would work really well with this pattern paper. And then I used some of these grey ones as well just to dot around to dress this page up a little bit. So here are my two single pages, which look lovely as standalone single pages. If you're a little worried about working in a single page format and how to get things to flow across a double page spread, the things that tie these two pages together are really the colours. So the glacier repeated from this pattern paper here over to this page, and also a couple of elements of craft paper. And then this zip strip placement helps bring your eye into the photos. By not carrying it all the way to the edge, it does tend to bring your eye in and you stop and you focus on the photos here. And I didn't want to put it right to the edges of these papers because obviously the patterns don't match at all. I hope this helps you with your planning of your photo albums. If you get to a point where you know that you don't have photos that are going to spread all the way across double pages, you might not have enough photos, you don't just want to put one little photo on one page and one on the other just to make it a double page spread, you can make two separate themes work quite well together just with some careful placement of paper. This is repeating a layout. It's basically a mirror image with the main elements here with the paper and then the zip strips. So doing a mirror image makes this more cohesive, and also looking at the color tones so that they are complementary to each other and repeating the colors across the two pages. It helps make two single page layouts become a double page spread in your album. So now these are going into the book and I'm very nearly finished. I have the back page to do and just one other single page that I missed that I hadn't finished. So hopefully I'll be back this week with that last page in my album and to do a little flip through of the whole entire album. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, happy crafting and bye for now.